My name is Martin Balicki. I would consider myself a moderate wine drinker with a little bit of experience, tasting a variety of wines. And I am 32. Um, but um, I would assume that's the main focal point. Um, Explore wines. Okay, first up, scroll. Okay. Uh, Page, so I think that's good. So anywhere I am on the website, I can click into Find Our Wines, Replace. So, but I think it's pretty obvious. I think it's um, I guess other ways you can improve is just make it obvious that you can open up in Google Maps. Let's see. One other way I think you might way I might improve it, and I'm going to double check to make sure if this is the case. If I'm exploring the wines and maybe I want to, at that point, I want to know where they are, I would think about possibly putting some call to action near the actual name of the wine. So now that I'm researching these, I want to know where the wines are. So I would put like a button underneath it, like find this wine, something like that. So it's different ways of getting to the same, even though the link's up top, maybe, as I'm reading this, I want to know where that is. So putting it in that location. Lighthouse Moscato. I would definitely go to Explore Your Wines, Our Wines. Um, I know that Moscato is a sweet wine. It's usually white, right? So that would go there. Um, so that's cool. That's what I expected. Clicking on the wine to find a little bit more about it. Maybe. Let's see. Difficult task. No, it wasn't difficult. Um, I think what's not maybe obvious is that there's more information about these wines. Um, since I clicked on the locations, I know that this is then the link for it. Um, but I would have some kind of like dot 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 after maybe the description of it. Say learn more about this wine, or hear the story about it. How it came to be, or how it was named, or the information about it. So I would definitely put some kind of call to action below it. Um, And what also might be cool is to see maybe even a picture or a thumbnail of the type of wine or even the label next to it. Because I might automatically assume that with almost like a product, like that you're putting in a shopping cart or an article that you would then click into. So that's another, people like to click on images too. Um, so that's another way I might improve that. Maybe I know that um, scanning this page maybe I don't necessarily read the reds right away. Um, but if I saw the color of the wine too, I would know that, certain types of wines, I could scroll faster and find um, maybe the color of the wine that I'm thinking of. I guess not being an advanced wine drinker, I don't know if they make red Moscatos, but I would associate it with a white wine. So then I would scroll and look at the pictures because I'm very visual. So just another way, a lot of people can look at things in different ways. Um, I'm definitely visual, so I would scroll through and find the whites, and then maybe find read the secondary. Um, how many wines are available in the Vintage Buffalo wine? Um, I'm assuming this would show all the wines. Explore wines. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 wines. Okay. No, it was not difficult. Um, if that's something that is important, though, I would. Um, there might be an opportunity to have a little paragraph about just, Vintage Buffalo has 6 kinds of wines, 3 reds, 3, just some kind of like descriptive supportive text somewhere, even if it's up here, if that's important. If not, maybe it's just like a little side note that's off to the side. Um, maybe it's like Vintage Buffalo has 6 kinds of wines to appeal to a variety of tastes and dryness, sweetness, 3 reds, 3 whites, just something. And that text is always good for SEO too. So other than that, I would have to count them, which is um, actually, let me click this. One thing that might um, people do scroll, but I think um, this carousel kind of breaks it up a little bit too much. Whereas they might stop here, and they might not necessarily know that the whites are past it. Um, that's just not what I had. Additional information. Finer wines, explore wines home. I like this button because it shows that there's more information. Our store, I love it. Contact us. Um, I might want to see a secondary button if I'm not ready to. Um, maybe I want to explore. This is more like I want to take an action, but have an exploratory, which would be explore our wines as like a secondary button. Just primary action, secondary, and then you could even do some A/B testing on which one gets more clicks, and then you could cater the content to, what this is actually talking about. If more people are interested in just exploring, I would then, you know, have a little bit about us and then explore our wines and learn about us. And, I think the imagery, the fonts, the colors work well with the Vintage Buffalo. I definitely get an old feel, like a vintage feel. I think it's awesome. Love the color scheme. Um, I like that there's I like that there's kind of like commentary not from the creator of the website or the owner of this of Vintage Buffalo. I would even try to pick out a quote and maybe feature that a little bit more. But it is very obvious. I guess what I don't know is this whole thing written by written by that person? Okay, it is. So I would even preface that, maybe have a subheading that says, you know, hear from the critics or something like that. Because until you get down to the bottom, maybe it's not necessarily obvious, like who's writing it or who's saying that. But I do like it, and even like pulling out a quote would look nice in there. I love. Okay, so you already have the labels, so even using those kind of like when you're exploring the wines as like thumbnails, that would be awesome. Explore wines. I think it's awesome. Contact. My one commentary on this, its contact page is pretty self-explanatory, but maybe address some of the reasons why somebody would want to contact you. Um, and I'm trying to think, not being a business owner, but what are our hours of operation? Maybe they want to visit there. So maybe there's certain things you could address before getting to the contact form. Or, you know, would you like to sell our wine at your store? So there's different audience groups I think you could appeal to and address. And your message is pretty open-ended, but I think people also like direction. So, you know, let us know about your experience. Let us, how can we help you, rather than just your message. So there's definitely opportunities to speak more informally to a user, and then also direct to a certain user group. Um, I do like that the lines are at the bottom. I think this, I don't know if you could feature this a little bit more. I feel like every page almost should have this, and I guess I should check to see if they already exist on there. But find our wines. Okay, it is on there. So I almost think it gets lost because there's so much white or negative space. I would almost want to see these two sections swapped. Okay. Um, if I'm looking for the wines and I also know that you sell them, maybe I don't necessarily know that they're in the stores. And once I get to here, these are all the places I'm assuming that carry them. But I think there should also be a section that's separate from this list of contacting us or coming to the winery or the wine tasting facility, because that's another area where I would, maybe I assume that they only carry their, you know, their wines at their facility. And that is another area that would carry the wines if you want to find it. So, um, and I would even, you know, if that's a strategic effort, I would want to say maybe that's the first block. Like you can find it at our tasting room, right? Here are the, and then, you know, some kind of separation to say that they're different. Here are some of the convenient places. I guess we found the following Buffalo. Oh, I guess you do have that. 1,000. Let me see what this links to. I would almost include your contact information in that section. Okay, 10,000 vines, I get it. So I think it's good to have the link there, but I also think maybe a little bit more contact information about this 10,000 vines. But that's all I have.